guys. You guys are fucking dangerous. Look at this guy. He's got respect for doing.
There's 4 million people coming in.
It's only a matter of time. Justice is coming.
What is the cost of lies? It's not that we'll mistake them for the truth. The real danger is that if we hear enough lies, then we no longer recognize the truth at all.
Why would I have anything to say to you? All you do is lie.
What else is left but to abandon even the hope of truth and content ourselves instead with stories?
It's the role of good journalism to take on powerful abuses. And when powerful abuses are taken on, there is always a back reaction.
Take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans,
right.
You're saying that's not gain of function?
That is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly. And I want to say that officially.
When you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people. Go ahead.
About is the reality of goodness, not the perception of it. And what I see all over the place is people who care about looking good while doing evil. Fuck them. Okay?
Welcome back, Habbening Bros. It's Monday, and you know what that means. It's time for another Habbening TV. I hope you all had an excellent weekend, and you are doing well. Tonight, we have a sort of plethora of various stories, mainly to do with the US and the fallout from the Trump juggernaut. Yes, it just keeps rolling on, ladies and gentlemen. People are trying to throw themselves out of the way. The wailing and gnashing of teeth of the Democrats is becoming louder and more shrill after the first incredible punchy blow delivered after his immediate rise to power. It looks like the Dems are recoalescing, organizing, getting all of their little glowies in order and trying to press back against the Trump administration. Will it work? Hard to say. Hard to say. I mean, you know, they do have the ideology. They do have all the NGO funding, which seems to have been a bit crimped. I've been doing a lot of shows recently, actually. I started another show with Black Pigeon Speaks on Saturday night called Redux Report. You've got to watch it on Rumble because I was a little bit spicy on YouTube. I got to learn to tone it down when I'm doing like actual proper monetized YouTube, guys. But you can watch it, check it out. I've had some like good reviews of it. Anyway, tonight we will be talking about the latest sort of fight within Doge. It just rolls on from one story to the other, basically, right? After taking out USAID with an orbital strike, they have moved on to the Treasury Department. Now, this, of course, caused much wailing and gnashing of teeth. The Treasury Department is the dark heart, the final boss, as it were, of US monetary corruption and thus a lot of global monetary corruption. If they get in and they audit the Treasury, they'll be able to find out what stuff the Fed has been doing. And if they find out what the Fed has been doing, if the public get wind of that, heads are going to roll, bros. So essentially, Musk was about to stick a team into the Treasury. It's not sure whether they actually already got Treasury data or not, but they were basically about to go in and start auditing the Treasury. And this Democrat judge just pops up and he's like, no, not the Treasury, throws himself in front of the bureaucracy. He's like, no, you absolutely cannot do this. I have passed a legal order. Just, basically pulled it out of his ass. The way they like to do. This has caused some consternation. People are wondering, what's going to happen. Apparently, it's been a stay for a week so that, they can delete as much data out of the Treasury Department as possible. Of course not. Of course, it's nothing to do with them trying to, hide intense criminality and money laundering, bros. How could you even suggest such a thing? And I hope no one is thinking that, because I don't want any conspiracy theorists watching this show. As you are aware, I only take all of my news from the Washington Post and the New York Times. They tell me what to think. And then after telling all you what to think because of what to think, I go and I collect my nice fat check from USAID and George Soros. That's how I've managed to buy this lovely private island that I am streaming from. Yes, the life of a paid propagandist is great. You know what I mean? All the child slaves that you could possibly want. Caviar for days, and all you have to do is completely give up any pretense to truth or respectability, right? Which of course is a small price to pay, because what are eternal values in the face of temporary material benefits, huh? Checkmate, religionists. You can't answer that question. Where is your God now, right? When I'm sitting here eating a steak that has some gold leaf on it and paying for a very high-priced prostitute, huh? Where are your eternal values then? So yes, we're talking about that. What else have we got? So the second story, Australia has passed a bunch of new hate speech laws. They are basically sort of speed running the inevitable conclusion to basically saying that people disagreeing with the government is hate speech and misinformation. Apparently, you can now get up to a year in jail in Australia for saying stuff. They passed it basically, because of anti-Semitism and Nazism and all this kind of other stuff. Essentially, what's really happening in Australia is that there is a burgeoning nationalist movement. They're not too, big fans of the mass migration and all of that kind of other stuff. And of course, the Australian government is like, no, we can't have Australian whites wanting to defend their own country. No, globalism, no. So they passed this law. But what is very, very interesting in the second part of this story is that Trump has announced sweeping new tariffs on steel and aluminium. They're supposed to go into action today. I believe it's 20% on both. Now, this, of course, has hit Australia. Now, usually, of course, Australia and the other Western countries, Canada, New Zealand, the parts that used to be the Commonwealth, when that actually meant something, right, would always be included within the zero tariff circle. Now, people who've been watching this show for a while may remember that I was basically hoping and praying that Trump would start using these tariff measures against so-called Western democracies and basically saying, look, you can have a 0% tariff if you're a Western democracy, but if you're a Western democracy, you got to start behaving like one, which means no more locking your people up for saying spicy words, right? You got to actually stop oppressing your people. And it looks like I was right, friends, because there has been all kinds of hustling and, rustling from Australia. They're like, no, how could you possibly tariff us? What do you want? And I suspect what Trump is going to want in return is for Australia, again, to start behaving like a Western liberal democracy. There is already a story out from the UK saying that they are considering rolling back the online harms bills, the online harms bill, which is the UK's version of this internet censorship thing that's been going around, in return for not getting hit by tariffs from the Trump government, which would be awesome. And finally tonight, just a sort of little aside, the UK Labour Party is in serious trouble, bros. Why? Well, I mean, everyone, all the sort of normies are like, oh, it's because they're terrible people. No, I say. It's not because they're terrible people, although, I'm sure they are. It's because Reeves and Starmer started prioritising growth, and they committed the cardinal sin, the worst thing you can do in government in the UK at the moment, which was say that they were going to start renewing oil and gas leases in the North Sea, thus striking at the heart of the net zero plan to starve everyone to death in the United Kingdom. Since that plan came out, there have been a swath of scandals hitting the Labour Party undermining Keir Starmer's position. The latest one is a WhatsApp group. Oh, terrible. A spicy WhatsApp group called Trigger Me Timbers, where a bunch of Labour councillors were basically blowing off steam and shit posting and stuff like that. Apparently they've known about it for like at least a year. So why did it come out now? Probably just a coincidence, bros. It, probably wouldn't be wise to read too much into it. After all, you might get a bit of the old conspiracy theory by thinking that there is more going on in politics than meets the eye. What a terrible, terrible place to be. Anyway, that's basically what we've got for you tonight. Let's say hello to everyone in the chat. On Rumble, we have J Chiva Loophole. Good to see you, sir. Rat Fun King, Total Blackout Painting, Yiz the Eunuch. Yiz, how you doing? I might be on Discord and Dragons tonight. I'm not sure. Yiz, let me know. Captain Crisps, Livia Drusella, great to see you, Livia. Wyatt's Torch. Oh, great to see you all, guys. Great to see you. What is wrong with my mouth tonight? Have I been given an alien mouth replacement by the aliens? I don't understand. I think that's everybody on Rumble. Oh, and DJ Based. Good to see you too, sir. On YouTube, we have the Nameless One, Streaky Bacon, 007. Good to see you, sir. Total Blackout Painting again, and Evil Author 1776. And on Odyssey, we have Dax 666. And I think that's it. And hello to all of the lurkers out there. I know you're out there. I see the metrics. I know you're out there watching at the time of your choosing, which is great. Come along and say hello in the chat if you want to unlurk yourself. But if you don't, that's also fine. That's also fine. Today's meme. When you're hiding all that PSYOP money. Man, the PSYOPs business is like really, really profitable, right? What I want to know is there any room in the PSYOPs industry for like, sort of small self-owned businesses? Like, could I start myself up as my own PSYOP shop? The one-stop PSYOP shop, right? I'll just be like, look, just pay me like a shitload of money. Oh, and don't turn on entropy. Why do I always forget entropy? Thank you very much, Saydays. Oh, and something went wrong. Right, of course, because entropy has logged me out. Because entropy is... well, actually, entropy is pretty good. I'm not going to badmouth it, but it does like to log me out a lot. Come on. I do apologize for this slight interruption. However, without entropy up, I cannot get any Earth monies, and I need the Earth monies so that I can survive. Right, entropy is up. Thank you very, very much, Saydays. Yes, as Livia says... Reform is 26% in some of the polls. So yes, look, if anyone knows how I can get into the PSYOPs industry, if, there's room for a small sort of like one-person contractor, to start doing PSYOPs, just pay me an incredible amount of money and I'll be fine, right? All of my principles are for sale. I have no sort of like soul or core being. I'm just basically like a globalist shill in waiting, bros. That's why I do this show, of course, because of the immense amounts of money that I make. Saying the things that I do, immensely profitable. And look, it must be profitable. I keep reading all of these reports from NGOs, right? Talking about how incredibly profitable misinformation is, right? That's the only reason why people do it, is because of all the incredible amounts of money, bros. And yes, it's amazing. It's just amazing. Evil Author 1776, apply to USAID. Oh, wait. I know. I was going to apply to USAID, and say like, oh, look, what if you paid me like $100 million to teach like salamanders in Guatemala to do the cha-cha or something. Now my dreams are destroyed. I'll never get, $100 million to analyze like which cereals are the crunchiest, right? I could do that from home, right? I wouldn't even need to leave my house, right? I could just take the $100 million and get ChatGPT to like write something and just send it to them. They don't care. It's not their money, right? Anyway, enough of that. Let's get on with the news, shall we? So we start just a little bit of a catch up. USAID, it's down, bro. It's down. F's in the chat for USAID. They don't even have a sign anymore, bros. Tragic. Apparently, the building is now being occupied by ICE, immigration enforcement. Terrible. Now, there has been some sort of questions about Samantha Power, the head of USAID, and how it was that she now has approximately a $30 million net worth, reportedly, whilst getting a $150,000 a year salary. I'm sure it's all above board, bros. I'm sure it's fine, right? Now, I've been sort of like hammering on this point for a bit, but I just want all of my viewers to understand how this works, right? What we were not aware of is that Soros and Gates and all those people, they're not using their own money. They're using some of their own money, right? Like they'll give like a few millions, to like someone, and then they'll get the government to spend 10 or 20 times that amount of money in the way that they choose. So this guy sums it up really well. Samantha Power is installed on the board of a non-profit or consulting firm. USAID then gives money to that NGO or consulting firm. USAID gives money to an NGO. NGO then gives money to the organization or firm. The organization or firm then pays Samantha, who's head of USAID, and then USAID gives more money to the NGO. That's how it works. It's a complicated shell game, bros. This is pretty funny. So, as you can imagine, the lefties have been very, very keen to dox anyone associated with Doge, but they've only managed to claim one scalp so far, and it doesn't even seem to be permanent. This did produce some very, very, very funny television, because for some weird reason, the CNN and all of that, they didn't want to name this 19-year-old kid, possibly because they might get sued under the new administration. So they had to refer to him to his internet moniker, Big Balls.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with Musk and Big Balls.
Big Balls.
Big Balls.
Big Balls, who worked for Elon Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency, Doge.
In the one case of the Big Balls kid, a literal teenager.
Big Balls online. Big Balls here that Katie's talking about.
A 19-year-old that goes by the username Big Balls.
So that would be one way that we could refer to him.
Young computer whizzes, the aforementioned Big Balls.
Because who among us doesn't feel better about big balls in charge of American air traffic control?
This is Flight 719 coming into land. Atlanta Tower, are you there? Flight 7619, this is Big Balls. Please let down your Big Balls landing gear and approach for landing. Oh my God. And then of course we had this. I'm not sure if I covered this before. I'm working so many shows now, but this is a great clip. Is anyone tired? I'm feeling a certain kind of fatigue is setting in, bros. If only someone had a name for this specific form of fatigue, right? You know, I think I'm literally the only person to have noticed this.
Advocate on behalf of your children. You are not allowed to come into this building where you pay taxes. Parents who have children who are disabled, access is being blocked. You voted for members of Congress to advocate on behalf of your children. Children with disabilities, for young women who have been victims of sexual assault in our classrooms, on our school grounds. Members of OCR are fighting for your children. We are not allowed in the building to talk to them. We are not allowed to advocate on behalf of America's children. America, we have a problem. Now, everybody stand.
America, we have a problem. Yes, you are the problem. This is in front of the Department of Education. After it was announced that Doge was in there, there have been reports that the Department of Education has been shut down, but there's been no confirmation so far. Now, of course, the Democrats are very, very concerned that their bureaucracy is being under attack. It's very, very dangerous for our bureaucracy. And Jamie Raskin, a sort of deep state goblin, such that he is, he's gonna do a lawsuit, mate. He's gonna sue somebody.
What I'm thinking about and talking to my friends at Democracy Defenders and other lawyers about is, could there be a nationwide class action lawsuit to follow up on last week's victories against Musk, against the Trump administration for this breach in computer security and the data of all American taxpayers. It could be a class action suit on behalf of all Americans. If the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers want to opt out and they don't want their part of the money for the contamination of their data, fine, they can opt out. But really, it's a suit on behalf of everybody because that's our information. Right. It doesn't belong to Elon Musk or his little midnight crew. It belongs to the people, and the government has to hold it in trust. Now, there's specific statutes which say that information can only be accessed for tax purposes, for the purposes of the Internal Revenue System, and for no other purposes. What are they using that information for?
I'm pretty sure they're using that information to uncover corruption, mate. Just a guess, right? So this has basically rolled onto the sort of the meat of the story that I'm getting into, which is this US judge, what's his name, Paul Engelmeyer, has temporarily blocked Doge from accessing payment systems at the Treasury. Now, I want to point out, right, like Doge only has sort of like read access. They can't actually change anything. They're just trying to find out what the hell is going on. And of course, the deep state is like, no, because of course the deep state runs on money. This whole thing runs on money. Spaghetti money. Like all the, little sort of incestuous, like spaghetti kind of like stuff. And they are very, very scared. You've probably got like, tons, thousands and thousands of these people. And all they do basically is, work for the government, right? Hold things up and collect a paycheck, right? It's incredibly corrupt. If these people are sort of fired from their jobs, what else are they going to do? Their whole career has basically been sort of getting a paycheck for sustaining the status quo. So from Reuters, February 8th, so this is a couple of days ago, federal judge on early Saturday temporarily blocked billionaire Elon Musk's government efficiency team from accessing government systems used to process trillions of dollars in payment, citing a risk that sensitive information could be improperly disclosed. I'm sure that's the real reason why they're worried. U.S. District Judge Paul Engelmeyer in Manhattan, right, so New York, right, issued the order after a coalition of Democratic attorneys general from 19 U.S. states filed a lawsuit late Friday arguing that Doge has no legal power to access the U.S. Department of Treasury systems. Now, I'm pretty sure that is untrue, but, they're just trying to buy as much time as they can to delete, to like cover stuff up, basically. I don't think it's going to work. My suspicion is that the fraud and waste at the Treasury Department is so incredibly heinous. There's no way they can cover up. I imagine they'll probably want a week to, try and like just cover up the worst of it, try and cover their asses a bit, be like, oh no, it wasn't us that, literally stole trillions of dollars from the US taxpayer. No, it was somebody else, bro, right? Hours after the ruling was issued, Musk called it absolutely insane. The billionaire said the Treasury Department and Doge had agreed to require all outgoing government payments to include a rationale in the form of a comment and to have a categorization code. Now, this is the thing, right? The agreement that Musk actually like made with the Treasury. Wait, I've got it here somewhere. This is what Musk actually wanted from the US Treasury, right? He wanted to require that all outgoing government payments have a payment categorization code, which is necessary in order to pass financial audits. This is frequently left blank, making audits almost impossible. So they're just giving out money. They're not even recording who the fuck it's going to, right? All payments must include a rationale for the payment in the comment field, which is currently left blank. So basically, right, you've just got the US Treasury just sending out all this money, right? They're not even saying like why, right? Like they don't have to like put like a code. They don't even have to have a reason. Importantly, we are not yet applying any judgment to this rationale, but simply requiring that some attempt be made to explain the payment more than nothing, right? The do not pay list of entities known to be fraudulent or people who are dead or are probable fronts for terrorist organizations or do not match congressional appropriations must actually be implemented and not ignored. It can currently take up to a year to get on this list, which is far too long. The list should be updated at least weekly, if not daily. Yesterday, I was told that there are currently over $100 billion a year of entitlement payments to individuals, with no social security number or even a temporary ID number. If accurate, this is extremely suspicious. When I asked if anyone at Treasury had a rough guess for what percentage of that number is unequivocal and obvious fraud, the consensus in the room was about half. So about $50 billion a year or $1 billion a week in sort of like outright fraud. Not even stuff that like, is it fraud or is it not? It's insane. Right, so let's see where we're back here. So, Trump, in response, has filed an emergency motion to vacate the Treasury's restraining order, asserts that no court can sever presidential supervision mandated by Article 2 of the Constitution. So basically, this is going to, at some point, get to a court. I don't know. I don't know exactly how it works. I presume, again, the idea basically is to just tangle this up in the courts as long as possible until it gets to an actual sort of reasonable court outside of New York, when presumably they will basically say that under the Constitution, because the Treasury is in fact a part of the executive. Wait, where is it? I've got a little thing on this. Oh no, I didn't put up. But the Treasury is part of the executive, right? So this is what Trump said basically when asked about this.
A couple of court losses, Mr. President, and J.D. Vance said judges aren't allowed to control the executive power. What's your take on that?
Well, we're going to see what happens. We have a long way to go, and we're talking about fraud, waste, abuse, and when a president can't look for fraud and waste and abuse, we don't have a country anymore. So we're very disappointed with the judges that would make such a ruling, but we have a long way to go. We have to find all of the fraud that's going on. We have tremendous fraud, tremendous waste, and tremendous abuse, and theft, by the way. And the day you're not allowed to look for theft and fraud, etc., then we don't have much of a country. So no judge should frankly be allowed to make that kind of a decision. It's a disgrace.
A couple of court losses, Mr. President.
So this is the question. How long is it going to take for this to resolve? How long will Trump put up with this kind of obstruction? Many people were basically saying that he should just ignore them, right? Like pull an Andrew Jackson, just be like, the court has rendered its decision. Now let's see them enforce it. But I don't think Trump really wants to do that. Necessarily, it could set a very bad precedent. But the longer it takes for them to get data from the Treasury Department, the more stuff they are going to be able to cover up. Now, this is breaking from today. This is indeed very interesting. Now, I can't find video of this comment, but everyone is reporting that Trump said that the US may in fact have less debt than it thought because of fraud. Now, many people are picking over this sort of throwaway comment, trying to figure out what he meant. Apparently, he said that some Treasury payments might not count. He also implied that there might be fraud in the US bond market, right? So that some of these bonds, some of the US treasuries may in fact have been issued fraudulently, in which case there would be a case to like withdraw them, right? Something tells me that this would be a way to attack China. It would be a sort of like a weird sort of selective default, essentially, right? Like the US would basically say a bunch of these treasuries were in fact emitted fraudulently, so we are going to remove them from circulation. We are going to extinguish them. So it would be a default of a sort, but not really, because it's not like we can't pay. It's just that there was fraud involved in the payments. We're even looking at treasuries. Trump said there could be a problem. You've been reading about that with treasuries, and that could be an interesting problem. It could be that a lot of these things don't count. In other words, that some of the stuff we're finding is very fraudulent. Therefore, we maybe have less debt than we thought. And people are chewing over this comment, right? Like, you know, basically, oh wait, that's the wrong, mate. Why do I have this up on the thing? Right, excuse me. Pardon me. So, weirdly enough, though, there has been no actual movement in the Treasury market at the moment, right? Bond yields are basically stable. Many people are sort of like wondering what this means, right? Is this a sort of attempt by Trump to try and sort of like get the Fed in line? Traditionally, the Fed, because it's, they say it's independent. That basically means the government's got no control over it. Has been very, very hard to influence, and you frequently get regimes where the Fed is basically doing stuff to undermine the president, and it's very, very bad. So Trump is sort of collecting leverage that he can use against the Fed and the Treasury, and indeed the Treasury has basically said, the Fed has said that they are cutting rates again soon, which is very, very useful for Trump because it is the Fed, and by setting of the sort of base interest rate, that really controls the pace of the entire economy. Now, you might say to yourself, well, why does the Fed get to do that? Well, that's a long story. But before the Fed, banks used to be able to set their own interest rates. And then the Fed came along and said, we need financial stability and we need an elastic money supply and all that kind of other stuff. We can't trust banks to set their own interest rates, so you better give all the power to us. And government can't influence in any way, shape, or form. And of course, as you know, things have been going great since then. And there has never been a financial crash since 1913. Now, this is quite an interesting clip. Allegedly, this is a former World Bank president, I don't know exactly who, essentially saying that the Fed is bankrupt, and it has been bankrupt for a while. And essentially what it's been doing is issuing treasuries buying up treasuries. But basically, it's been juicing the market to keep rates low. Check it out.
Yeah, it's worrisome. The Fed basically has become now just a giant hedge fund. It's lost $1 trillion, and counting. It's going to be a gigantic loss. What it does is borrows money at 5.4% from banks and then dumps it into government bonds. So think what that trade does. That causes the government to think that it's better off than it is. And so that encouraged the government to be short when rates were zero. So why did the government, borrow?
Right. So basically what this guy's saying is that the Fed is borrowing money from normal banks at like 5.4%, right? And using that money to buy bonds to keep the bond rates low, right? And then the Fed winds up owing insane amounts of money to actual banks at like a much, much higher interest rate.
So much in T-bills, because the Fed was buying the bonds and it made it look like yields were going to stay low remember the low for long phrase. So we've got these multiple problems that are going on, and it endangers the dollar. So that's the basic case.
Instead of the Fed having such large balances, wouldn't the private sector be starting businesses and risking capital and bringing returns and adding to growth? Wouldn't all that money be better if it wasn't with the Fed?
That's right, and we're depending on private equity. So as the banks get squeezed out, because they're lending so much to the Fed, it's literally a floating rate loan from banks to the Federal Reserve so it can buy government bonds. So if that were freed up, that would allow the banks to at least consider a small business loan and inventory loan, the kinds of things that help the economy grow. And this is on a global basis. It's not just the Fed. It's all the major central banks doing the same thing, meaning taking money from the economy in order to buy government bonds. We need to be clear on that. I heard the previous segment, they talk about money printing. There isn't any money printing on it. It's just money borrowing, and they pay top dollar for it. The Fed pays 5.4 to banks and 5.3 to money market funds, so to the Fidelity and Vanguard and so on.
Now, the reason why the banks will go for this, by the way, of course, is because, it is widely believed that the federal government can't default, right? So if the banks can get 5.4 return on essentially like zero risk, they're going to lend all of their money to the Fed, right? Why are they going to lend it to the plebs, right? When there's a possibility the plebs might default. It's a safe bet. Okay, so we've got this about the Treasury. Now, this is amazing. Musk said that he just learned that the Social Security database is not deduplicated, meaning you can have the same Social Security number many times over, which further enables massive fraud. Your tax dollars are being stolen. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, actually. And finally, Musk tweeted the he basically said that the Department of Education no longer exists per MSNBC. I don't know if this is a real story or not, bros. Don't trust MSNBC, but it is what it is. Right, our second story of the night. Australia has passed a new hate speech bill through the Senate. Basically, this was a response to a couple of attacks on synagogues in Australia, which are extremely sussy. So one of them, for example, someone discovered like a car by the side of the road that had a bunch of explosives in it and a list of various synagogues, right? It doesn't sound like in any way sus. There has been a lot of speculation that some of these may have been hyped up in order to get this hate crime legislation through, because the Australian government is very, very much afraid of rising nationalism in Australia because they haven't managed to demoralize the population entirely yet. So this is from the Noticer. This is a pretty good website. This is highly frowned upon in Australia. Australia's new hate speech laws are about nationalist containment. The Kafkaesque circus that is 2025 Australia has brought on another laugh this week with the passing of hate speech legislation in Parliament. After a number of Australian nationalist accounts were banned off Twitter following a podcast appearance with Sam Newman earlier this week, the Australian government moved quickly to pass pre-planned laws on speech even more severe than Section 18C. Making mean comments online or raising your arm at a 35-degree angle can now get you a 12-month stint in jail, with the legal threshold of recklessness basically just a made-up excuse to put away people that they don't like. Minor criticism of any group can now basically be a criminal offence. The bill was guillotined, debate-gagged, and rammed through in no less than 2 days and given royal assent in less than 24 hours, where the average took 28 days, meaning someone really wants this law to go through. Brian Marlow of the Australian Taxpayers Alliance, who jousted with the government in the Senate hearing last year over the misinformation bill, did a great deep dive. So at the same time as this is going on, the Australian Prime Minister, Peter Dutton, is basically sort of trying to throw a bit of like woke red meat to the electorate, banning trans athletes from women's sports and this kind of other stuff to hide the fact that they are ramming these new hate speech laws through. Dutton's not the Prime Minister. Albanese is the Prime Minister, sorry. Dutton's someone high up in the government, maybe leader of the opposition. Check it out. This is Albanese.
Part of what I have tried to do as Prime Minister is to turn down the heat on some of the issues as well. People will say things on social media that they would never say to you face to face, and they engage in a way that seems to ramp up from 0 to 11 straight away. We need to be able to have civil discourse in this country. I don't want to see the sort of polarisation that we see in some of our democracies around the world happen here, which is why I'll continue to engage in the way that I do constructively with people, but why as well I think that we all have a responsibility as leaders at different levels, but also everyone with a phone pointed at us here has a publishing device. Now, that wasn't the case. When I first came to this beautiful part of the world, as a little kid, people were just engaging with each other and playing and doing all of that. We are taking a range of measures to try to get that community responsibility back. One of the good things about what's happening here with the work that Alison's done with Justine and the Council is responding to local needs in a way that's civil, coming up with solutions as well.
Now, of course, this is not going to lower the temperature in Australia at all. All of these are essentially sort of feeble attempts to avoid having to do any policy modifications from the NGocracy that runs Australia, the same way that it runs the UK, the same way that it runs Canada. Mass immigration, of course, is a massive issue in Australia at the moment, same it is in UK and Canada, and the government, of course, does not want to have that conversation, so instead they want to silence and lock up people who are saying anything about it. This is, I think this is the dude that was referenced in the Notice article, talking about the misinformation bill.
Platforms are a problem. I don't trust them either. That being said, I definitely don't trust the government when it comes to trying to protect people from misinformation. The greatest peddlers of misinformation historically has been government MPs and the administrative state. So, an example, weapons of mass destruction, the Russiagate hoax, Hunter Biden laptop story. Safe and effective. Gladys Berejiklian effectively telling people if they sat down they won't catch COVID, but if they stand up they will. This legislation is the equivalent of saying, well, we have an issue with bushfires, so let's hand over power to arsonists. It is insane. It should not be enacted in any way, shape or form. So while social media companies have their issues, whilst I do not trust social media companies, what you're finding is there is already an open source solution to misinformation. X is a perfect example. Community Notes, I would say, is far more accurate than what ACMA would ever be able to achieve.
Now, this guy, of course, is a conspiracy theorist, probably a far-right right-winger, probably a racist. Do not listen to anything this man says, right? Like, look, you know what they all say. If you can't trust the government, who can you trust, right? If you can't trust the government, you can't trust your family. You certainly can't trust anyone, right? You have to trust the government. You have to let the government into your soul. If you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear and all that kind of like shit, basically, right? This is the guy, Brian Marlow. The hate crimes bill is yet another dangerous assault on free speech in Australia. It lowers the legal threshold for criminalising speech from intent to recklessness. Ooh, meaning you could go to jail even if you never intended any harm. So basically this law is essentially, right, like if you flap your mouth off and you were reckless in your speech, straight to jail. Straight to jail. This is a terrible, terrible precedent. I'm sure there are people in the UK looking at this being like, oh, mate, if only we could get some of that. The bill makes it a criminal offence to be reckless about whether your words might incite violence or fear. Bloody hell. No intent needed. Just the possibility that someone might feel threatened is enough for severe criminal penalties. Shit. It gets worse. The bill introduces strict liability for certain offences, meaning that courts don't even have to prove intent. If a, quote, reasonable person from a protected group feels threatened, you automatically become guilty. End of story. Woof. Legislation deliberately crushes speech in Australia under the guise of stopping hate. You may be asking yourself, who decides what is reckless? What does that even mean? How does that justify speech controls? Shut up, racist will be the standard response that you get. This bill criminalizes political opinion. It adds political opinion as a protected class, meaning that criticizing politicians or ideologies could be considered hate speech. Obviously, that will be weaponized in the near future against political opponents and dissidents. The punishment, up to 7 years in prison for threats made without intent based purely on someone else's interpretation. This means your words will be judged not by what you meant, but by how others claim it made them feel. The bill would also criminalize a number of religious teachings, and that was before we even get to the absolutely insane amendments put forward by the Karen Caucus, also known as the Teals. Oh my God, the Teals. Fucking hell. It goes without saying that suppressing speech doesn't defeat bad ideas, it just pushes them underground. The bill is not about stopping hate. It will be used to silence political opposition, crush free expression, and regulate public discourse in an election year. It must be opposed. Yeah, well, you know. So, that's the law in Australia at the moment. But check this out. Check this out, bros. Trump has said that he will announce 25% steel and aluminium tariffs on Monday, and more import duties are coming. Now, why is this important? Well, I'll tell you why. Because it's going to affect Australia, and Australia is like, wait, you know, we're your friends, Amero Bros, right? We're on the same side. And I think Trump's being like, you're not on the same side if you're criminalizing speech. If you want to be a Western democracy, you got to act like one. Check it out.
I'll be announcing probably Tuesday or Wednesday at a news conference reciprocal tariffs, and very simply, it's if they charge us, we charge them. That's all.
When does it go into effect, sir?
Almost immediately, but I'll be announcing the details of it, highly detailed, and it'll be great for everybody, including the other countries. But if they are charging us 130% and we're charging them nothing, it's not going to stay that way.
This is on every country?
Every country will be reciprocal.
And just on the steel question, just so I understand.
We'll also be announcing steel tariffs on Monday.
On this, tomorrow?
Monday, yeah, tomorrow.
What countries will those go on?
Everybody. Steel.
Including Canada and Mexico?
Yeah. Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about aluminum, sir?
Aluminum, too.
10%?
No, 25%.
25 for aluminum.
25 for both.
Oh, and speaking of tariffs, please send some money to me on Entropy or Ko-Fi. You can send rants on Rumble. But Entropy is my preferred way of doing it because I get taxed much less via the tariff monster. Please donate all Earth monies and shout out to who was it who gave me a Ko-Fi? Someone gave me a Ko-Fi. Oh my god, I can't even remember who it was. Oh, dude. Somebody totally gave me, whoever it was, please say in chat again. Oh, I feel terrible. I missed who it was. But yes, thank you for the Ko-Fi. Whoever that was. Oh, mate. Streaky Bacon. Streaky. Thank you. Sorry, I was looking at the Rumble chat. Streaky, thank you very, very much. Remember, all Earth monies will go towards the provision of food for this streamer, which I desperately need because living in London is expensive as hell. If I have enough food, I will probably spend the rest on beer.
We need Earth monies to appear as normal Earth pigs. Mini Moose, how much have we earned?
Well, you see how old that clip is. Tuna is clearly worth something now. Right, let's get on with the next one. Let's see, what have we got here? Losing the window. Right. Right, so this is Australian media reporting on the tariffs. Oh, and by the way, Carvos 96, we do have a version of USAID in the UK. It's called the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office. They have basically rolled the UK version of USAID right into the Foreign Office. It is like a two-headed hydra. And, and they only spend money on, like, really, really good things, obviously, right? Like, they don't waste any of it.
On Air Force One over the renamed Gulf of America, creating a trade gulf with the world.
Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
And aluminium, with no country exempted, affecting $1 billion of Australian exports from BlueScope Steel, Rio Tinto and Alcoa, and thousands of jobs.
I have a discussion with President Trump scheduled.
Vowing to speak diplomatically.
Not with loud hailers, but diplomatically.
Then Ambassador Joe Hockey employed Gulf diplomacy in the first Trump presidency, allowing Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull to seal an exemption. Donald Trump says he'll outline the new tariffs tomorrow to begin immediately. The UK, Canada, Mexico and Brazil, also exempted last time, all getting whacked this time too.
It's a bit like dealing with a spinning top. You don't quite know where it's going to go.
It's now up to Ambassador Kevin Rudd to spin it Australia's way. Alongside Defence Minister Richard Marles at the weekend, meeting new US Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth in Washington. Today, Mr. Marles, any inkling of this when you're in Washington the weekend?
Sorry.
No heads up?
Run to question time.
In a hurry, as President Trump promises retaliatory tariffs on all other imports.
If they charge us, we charge them.
But it's American consumers who ultimately will pay in higher prices. Anthony Albanese will have that phone conversation with Donald Trump in the next 24 hours. It's something that has been scheduled for a while, but has now become an urgent and crucial test for the Prime Minister in the shadows of an election, leveraging our alliance and a free trade deal that works heavily in America's favour to win an exemption from the...
Yes, well, again, what are the Americans going to want for that exemption? Now, the reason why I bring this up, check this article out from 9th of February. So this is from yesterday. the UK is willing to renegotiate the online harms bill in order to avoid Trump tariffs. Starmer may be prepared to alter Social Media Safety Act to accommodate the US president and his tech bros to secure a favorable trade deal, right? So I think this is basically what Trump is going for. Not only will this benefit the tech bro part of his coalition, but also, as I was saying before, right, Trump believes in Western liberal democracy. It is very, very clear that a number of Western countries no longer believe in Western liberal democracy at all, right? In fact, their idea of democracy, as we've seen over and over, is bureaucracy, right? So democracy for them is keeping basically everything the same forever and crushing your political opponents by denying them representation, denying them speech, denying them jobs, denying them like any right to live, essentially, which again is not democracy. The UK government is willing to rework its Online Safety Act in order to avoid tariffs from Donald Trump's administration. The law, which regulates online speech, is thought to be heavily disliked by the president's administration because it can levy massive fines on US tech companies. Well, I'm sure that's part of it, but I'm sure that Trump is also like, you know, what about my freedom of speech? Downing Street is willing to renegotiate elements of the act in order to strike a trade deal should it be raised by the US, the Telegraph understands, right? So this has been leaked by the government to the Telegraph in order to telegraph this basically to the Americans that they are willing to play ball. The law has been heavily criticized by free speech advocates and economists who argue that its broad provisions to tackle harmful online content could lead to excessive censorship and deter investment from American tech giants. Now, a lot of this online harms bill is basically aimed at Twitter because all the politicians on Twitter are sick of ordinary people basically telling them how much they suck. Apparently, it's quite psychologically damaging for them. Well, good. Do a better job. Have some bloody principles, you spineless jellyfish. Under the law, social media giants face fines of up to £18 million or 10% of their annual revenue if they fail to remove harmful content from their platforms. Right. Now, I'm not sure 100% whether Australia has a similar law, but there have been a lot of online censorship going on in Australia. This is Anthony Albanese basically after he was told that the tariffs are coming in. He looks like someone has farted in his cornflakes.
I thank the member for his question, and the Australian people know I will always stand up for them. And I will always stand up for Australia's national interests, and it is in Australia's national interest to have free and fair trade. Yeah. This government has a strong record indeed of working with other nations to protect and advance Australia's trade interests. We will navigate any differences which are there diplomatically, and we will continue to make the case to the United States for Australia to be given an exemption to any steel and aluminium tariffs. We have raised with the US administration in recent ministerial discussions these issues. We will continue to make the case for Australia's national interests with the US administration, and what's more, we regard this as also being in the US's national interest as well. Because tariffs, of course, don't tax us, they tax the purchasers.
Well, Mr. Albanese, I guess the question you've got to answer is, are you China or are you Australia? And if you're Australia, you better start acting like Australia. Now, there has been some fallout from this. The Australian Stock Exchange fell by 0.5% in the first hour of trading. I mean, not massive. I expect after what happened with Mexico and Canada, the market is probably expecting that these tariffs won't properly materialize, that the government will play ball. However, there is a slight problem with the current US ambassador, Kevin Rudd, who used to be Australian Prime Minister. He's not a fan of Trump. He's not a fan at all, bros.
Trump, at present, represents a political liability for both sides of Australian politics. So if you're going to defend the proposition of an alliance with the United States for the future, it has to be done in terms of the alliance is intrinsically valuable, whatever the future may hold, and Trump's only around for another 3 years, maybe less, depending on the midterms.
Well, that was in October 2017. Trump was president at the time. Unwise remarks from a former Australian Prime Minister with clearly little understanding of American politics and of the immense support that Trump had amassed. But it gets worse. Rudd claimed Trump was a problem for the world.
This guy is a problem. He is an objective problem for the world, for the region, for my country. And of course, not as an American, I will not comment on the problem he represents to the United States domestically. So he's a buzzword.
And in other stunning comments, Rudd also urged the Republican Party to remove Trump.
That the Republican Party, which enabled this guy to be elected, have a deep responsibility to accept responsibility for the consequence of their actions and begin the processes for one form or another of his removal by constitutional means.
Isn't it ironic that that advice came from a man who himself was removed from office by his own colleagues?
Ooh, so I imagine Rudd is not going to be very popular as US ambassador, bros. Right, our final story, run a little bit late. UK government is still a massive clown show, but as I was saying in the opener, it seems like there's a bit of a war in heaven going on at the moment. Now, my suspicion on this is that this is all over net zero, right? Net zero is the policy to subjugate and starve the English people, and it is backed by the NGOs and, you know, by the World Economic Forum and the United Nations and all that lovely, lovely, corrupt USAID money, right? About a while back, about a week and a half, Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer started saying that what they really, really needed for the UK is growth, right? They've got to grow the economy, everything, well, probably already in a recession. They're just fudging the numbers, basically. And they were going to start considering opening oil and gas leases again in the North Sea. Now, of course, this strikes at the heart of the whole net zero proposition, right? You can't do net zero, right, and start using hydrocarbons or fossil fuels, as the retards like to say. And since that happened, there has been an explosion of scandals engulfing the Labour Party. Now, of course, being the kind of cynical person that I am, I believe that it's much more likely that this kind of stuff is shit they essentially had in an Oppo file, and they were just basically waiting for a reason to use it. Now, supposedly, a bunch of MPs were in a WhatsApp group. Oh, no. Why are you using WhatsApp, bro? No, they're not even using Telegram, honestly, right? Called Trigger Me Timbers was the name of the WhatsApp group. Wait, I've got a thing over here. Yeah, there we go. Trigger Me Timbers, right? So presumably it was a WhatsApp group where they were all like just letting off steam and, you know, shit posting essentially. But as everybody knows, when you're a politician, you're not allowed to shit post about anything, especially if you're white. You know, if you speak Urdu or something like that, then it's probably fine. Interestingly enough, you never seem to hear about anything about, like, you know, minority group chats, because everybody knows, of course, that you know, they would never shit post about stuff or anything like that. This is what makes me believe that they probably got a group of people deliberately infiltrating themselves into these WhatsApp groups and just gathering sort of research. So if anyone becomes a problem, or if there's a political maneuver that they need to make, they can basically sort of whip out what research they have and get people fired. And this guy, Andrew Gwynn, who is apparently the health minister. I thought Wes Streeting was the health minister. Chat, can someone look that up? I thought Streeting was the health minister. Allegedly, this guy is the health minister. Andrew Gwynn, sacked over offensive WhatsApp comments. This could be clearing the way for Wes Streeting, who is probably going to be the next Prime Minister after Starmer gets displaced, the sort of gay thug. And I'm sure he will be all up for a bit of the net zero. Andrew Gwynn was also accused of writing a series of other messages containing racist and sexist comments. Oh no, bros. Oh no. Well, I mean, really, we have to destroy his life. You know, there's nothing for it, right? You say something racist or sexist, you don't deserve to live, bros. They included apparent anti-Semitic remarks. Oh no, that's the worst kind of shit posting of all. And demeaning comments about Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister. Oh my God. Oh my God. So he's gone. He's fired. But as I said, apparently they've known about this group for more than a year. So, you know, basically, right? So he described a constituent as an illiterate retard, a fellow councillor as a fat, middle-aged, useless thicket. But were any of these comments actually accurate? This is what they never sort of basically seem to like. You know, can we see a picture of this constituent who is described as an illiterate retard? Are they an illiterate retard? Olivia Drusilla Gwynn has been replaced by a crazy woke woman. Ah, yeah, of course. He called neighbouring MP Nav Mishra a splitter for forming a group of left-wing Labour MP. What the hell is that? Is he not allowed to say that? Or is it because Nav Mishra, is it because he's non-white and therefore like saying literally anything about that is bloody hell, mate. He was elected last July. He described the left-wing Labour supporters as Marxist loonies, while more than 100 messages refer to his colleagues as trots or Trotskyites. Ooh. Perhaps this was his real sin, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, they're all like, "Oh my God, I felt, this totally damaged me." These remarks in a private WhatsApp group that like I never heard of. Like, oh no, like. Anyway, he's out. Allegedly, there's more people who are going to be fired over this. I don't know. He made an apology, but of course it doesn't matter, right? Like once this happens, you're done. You are done. What else have we got here? There's also an investigation into Angela Rayner at the moment. But see, the way these things essentially work, right, is that as long as you are sort of in favor of the deep state, these investigations will not go anywhere. I mean, look at the investigation into Starmer and whether he broke lockdown rules, right? However, if you start going against the deep state, then these investigations will suddenly progress very rapidly. And finally, just to give you a state of idea of the state of the UK, an Albanian criminal has been denied to be deported because of his son's distaste for chicken nuggets. Now, apparently this was not the only reason, but it was cited as a reason why he could not be deported back to Albania. He came over on a small boat and then sort of faked his way into getting like leave to remain, married, had a child who is now 10 years old, and he can't be deported because his 10-year-old boy has food sensitivity and he will not eat Albanian chicken nuggets. Okay, right. Now, this is happening at the same time that Labor is basically trying to say, look, we are doing something about like illegal migration, we promise, bros. They're like raiding people. Apparently, they're trying to publish pictures and videos of migrants being deported. And they're doing this not because they have any problems with mass immigration, of course, not because people are dying or the crime's rising or any of that kind of other stuff, but because they're afraid of reform. And this has kind of split the Labor Party at the moment. Even though, I mean, look at this graph. They are turning down asylum applications now. But some people in the Labor Party are basically saying, look, this is insane, right? We can't possibly ever be as tough on immigration as reform is. We should, go the opposite way and let in even more migrants, right? That's sure to help. We're definitely not going to withdraw from the ECHR, which is, the sort of court that allows the body of law that makes it unable to sort of like do many of these deportations. Meanwhile, the bill for asylum has now crossed 5 billion as of 2024. Great. I mean, and this was March last year, so who knows? Who knows? Like, look, we can pick a number. We can pick a number, bros. I mean, look, they've got infinite money. It's not their money, so why do they care, right? God. Anyway, enough of that, bros. It's time for some cringe, don't you know? Let's get into it. I've got a Doge this week in honor of the Doge. Let's see. Right. Let's see what we got on the cringe. What is this? Oh my God. So just to give you an idea of how insane some politicians are in Australia, they're proper insane. This is an Australian senator ranting about Musk being like a literal Nazi. Check this out.
You can't see the slide into fascism that's currently happening in the United States. You are simply not paying attention. At Donald Trump's inauguration, as the billionaire oligarchs lined up to pay their obeisance, the biggest of them all, the most highest profile of them all, the person with probably the biggest social media reach in the world, in part because he owns one of the biggest social media platforms in the world, Elon Musk, literally gave a Nazi salute at the president's inauguration. And for people who are going to try to argue that it wasn't actually a Nazi salute, I'll say this. If you're one of the highest profile people in the world and a massive global debate erupts about whether or not you gave a Nazi salute and you don't come out and say it wasn't a Nazi salute, then it was a Nazi salute. It was a Nazi salute. The United States is sliding into fascism under Donald Trump. And it is marginalised communities who are going to pay the price. Black-skinned and brown-skinned people, migrants in the US, women in the US, transgender and queer folks in the US. They're going to be persecuted and they're going to be demonised, blamed for all the problems of the day. And you know what else is going to pay the price? Nature is going to pay the price under his drill baby drill policies of destroying nature. Climate is going to pay the price, as we're already seeing a withdrawal from global climate action. President Trump is a disaster for humanity. He belongs behind bars, not in the Oval Office.
You all right, mate? Livia, or anyone else in the chat, do you happen to know what the tortoise lapel pin stands for? Does it mean he's like a Fabian, or is that some like green bullshit? Imagine meeting this dude in the pub. He's just like, right, Musk is literally the next Hitler. Oh, bloody hell. Speaking of retardeds left, you have got to kind of give props to someone like Destiny, who says his opinions so loud and with such conviction, but literally doesn't understand what the fuck he's talking about. This is insane.
What is cultural Bolshevism? That's like the first type of like weird neo-Nazi, or not neo-Nazi, I'm sorry, pre-Nazi stuff. No, during the Nazi Party. I'm not going to be able to give you much detail about it, but I think that Bolshevism was like a rise in like artistic movement in the Weimar Republic, I think.
There you go, bros. You heard it first. Bolshevism was an artistic movement that arose during Weimar Germany. Bruh, come on. What the fuck, dude? Ah, yes, he's a very, very smart individual. Now, this is a bit concerning. This is allegedly Paula, I forget what her name is. Paula somebody, any Maribros. This is allegedly President Trump's spiritual advisor. This is a bit retarded.
Strike and 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 strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory, God. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of shouting and singing. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. For I hear victory, 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 victory in the corridors of heaven. In the corridors of heaven, victory, 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 victory. For angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. Hamanda aka ata raka teda baka sanda ata.
Oh, and she starts speaking in tongues. Well, that's when I'm out. I'm not listening to that shit. That's a very, very evil, dare I say it, evil sort of pretense of Christianity. Fuck off and find a decent priest, you retard. We don't do that speaking in tongues shit over here. Thank you very much. So one of the side effects of Doge is apparently that people in government have been having to like explain their existence to like 19-year-olds who are like, what is it that you do here? And a lot of them are very, very traumatized by this. Check it out.
When I was nervous and reticent to come up here and speak just for retaliation purposes, I just wanted to share some things that are going on at my agency. In the last week, we had Elon Musk in our building, and after he visited the building, he called for a 50% cut of the entire agency. My colleagues are getting 15-minute one-on-one check-ins with 19, 20, and 21-year-old college graduates asking to justify their existence. Supervisors are being told not to tell their staff anything, withhold information, and today we got word that supervisors must now fill out a justification form, and that there's going to be just a 30% rank and yank with all staff in my agency. And to top it all off, one of Musk's top lieutenants and his wife and young child have shacked up on the 6th floor of our agency and are living there. The hallway's been blocked off with a special access list for people who can't get back there. Queer and trans folks of my agency are being doxxed in public. Their lives threatened.
Oh no, not the queer and trans folks. You just... I mean, look, we know he said he was going to cut the government, right? But you're not supposed to actually cut the government, right? Like, don't you know, I sort the pens, right? Without me, like, working at, whatever glowy agency, like, how would the pens... I sort pens and I ruin people's lives for saying stuff on the internet. Absolutely an essential job. Now, what is this? Oh, yeah, so along with the the migrant protests, also a bunch of people, trans, protesting in New York. I don't know, apparently they're outlawing, like, genital surgery on children. Bold position. Oh, my God. From Paladin YYZ, $350. Holy shit, mate. Thank you so much. Wow. I'm going to eat well off this, Paladin. Thank you so much, bro. Bolshevism being an art movement is not far off from Moldbug's claim that the communists weren't a power structure so much as they just had a better narrative to sell the right on their agenda. They were way cooler in their ability to persuade. Oh, well, I mean, that's an interesting theory, Paladin. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how the Russians would feel about that. My understanding about the Russian Revolution was that the main reason the Bolsheviks came to power is because Russia was in a terrible state during the war and starvation and all of that kind of stuff. And they basically promised to do everything, right? They said, basically whatever they needed to say to get into power. But I guess I'll have a look into that. Paladin, thank you so much, mate. I think that's like the biggest super chat I've ever gotten. You kick ass, mate. Thank you so much. I hope you are well, bro. I am overcome with the desire for beer. Thank you very, very much, Paladin. W's in the chat for Paladin. Thanks so much, mate. I really appreciate it. Let's see, what else have we got? Right, yes, trannies be protesting, brah.
NYU grow a spine. Trans lives are on the line. NYU grow a spine. Trans lives are on the line. NYU grow a spine. Trans lives are on the line. NYU grow a spine. Trans lives are on the line.
Trans lives are on the line. I mean, I feel like the energy is a bit low, right? Like, if you compare this kind of stuff to like 2020, it seemed very, very low energy bros, right? Like terribly, terribly low energy. They really need to get this shit together. Oh, fucking listen to this. You guys remember Anonymous, right? We are Anonymous. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us. Well, Anonymous basically died out after they destroyed Scientology, and now they've been resurrected by someone, no one knows exactly who, you know, most people think it's probably the CIA. But check this out. Anonymous is now woke, bros. This is them. They've got a verified Twitter account because they're so anonymous, bros. Fucking hell. Check this bullshit out.
Greetings, citizens of the United States. The effects of Donald Trump's presidency are no longer distant warnings. They are here, unfolding before you. While many remain unaware, blinded by the administration's relentless efforts to suppress the truth, the rest of the world is watching, and it is responding. Long-standing alliances with key nations such as Canada and Mexico are fracturing inch by inch. The cracks are widening, and the global community is reassessing its trust in the United States. The question is no longer if, but when these relationships will collapse entirely. The consequences will be severe. Every imported product you rely on, everyday essentials, food, technology, will see skyrocketing prices, making even basic necessities unattainable for the average American. What you perceive as a simple rise in costs is, in reality, a calculated strategy. The plan? To systematically dismantle the lower class, to push those already struggling into the abyss of poverty where they will face an impossible choice. Perish or submit to servitude under the wealthy elite. Make no mistake, this is economic warfare, and the target is you. The recent ICE raids are not just about immigration enforcement, they are about control. The Trump administration seeks to reignite the flames of racial inequality and segregation-era policies, erasing diversity to craft a nation built on division and fear. These operations are disrupting local economies, forcing businesses to crumble, and ensuring the economic elimination of the working class. What follows is a society engineered to serve the interests of the few at the cost of the many. And as the oligarchy takes shape, another darker ideology is creeping into the mainstream. Fascist ideals, once whispered in the shadows, are now being openly embraced. Symbolism matters. Gestures matter. Elon Musk, a figure of immense influence, recently tested the waters with a gesture recognized worldwide as a Nazi salute. This was not an accident. It was a message, a challenge, a warning. But know this, the people are not silent. Despite the administration's best efforts to muzzle dissent, the voices of resistance grow louder. Trump's reckless overhauls, his purges of experienced government officials, his chaotic restructuring of critical infrastructure have created vulnerabilities, weaknesses, entry points. This transition period is his greatest liability, but it is also our greatest opportunity. The rushed implementation of new systems, the mass firings of key personnel, and the chaotic dismantling of existing structures have left behind critical gaps that Anonymous can and will exploit.
I don't know, bros. That sounds a bit, dare I say, insurrection-y to me. Someone tweeted FBI and be like, who's running this account exactly? We would not forgive. We would not forget. Anyway, enough of that bullshit. Here's some funny videos for you all.
A man was shot in the head, but the bullet only grazed him and lodged into a nearby tree. Over a decade later, this same man was cutting down that exact tree, but it was too thick, so he decided to use dynamite. He tied 3 sticks to the trunk and lit the fuse, but the explosion sent the years-old bullet flying, striking him in the head again, and this time it killed him instantly. Now, this account first appeared in a newspaper in 1905, and it's still a popular story over 100 years later, but there's never been any proof that this story is actually true. A man...
Okay. Yeah, Captain Chris, 40 in times. Yeah, it does sound like a 40 in times story, doesn't it? If you're considering coming to London, check out this excellent video released by the London Tourist Bureau.
Was ist?
Hopefully soon, they'll only have the blunt knives. So instead, you're only going to get slashed across the face instead. What's this? Oh yeah, USA ID downfall.
Es ist dem Feind gelungen, die Front in breiter Formation zu durchbrechen. Im Süden hat der Gegner Zossen genommen und stößt auf Stahnsdorf vor. Der Feind operiert jetzt am nördlichen Stadtrand zwischen Frohnau und Pankow. Und im Osten ist der Feind bis zur Linie Lichtenberg, Marsdorf, Karlshorst gelangt.
Mit dem Angriff Steiners wird das alles in Ordnung kommen.
Mein Führer, Steiner
konnte nicht genügend Kräfte für einen Angriff massieren. Der Angriff Steiner ist nicht erfolgt.
Es bleiben im Raum Keitel, Jodl, Krebs und Burgdorf.
Das war ein Befehl! Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl! Wer schickt Sie? Dass Sie es wagen, sich meinen Befehl zu widersetzen! So weit ist das also gekommen. Das Militär hat mich belogen! Jeder hat mich belogen, sogar die SS! Die gesamte Generalität ist nichts weiter als ein Haufen niederträchtiger, treuloser Feiglinge!
Mein Führer, ich kann nicht zulassen, dass die Soldaten, die für Sie verbringen...
Nicht als Feiglinge! Verreiter, Versager!
Mein Führer, was Sie da sagen, ist ungeheuerlich!
Die Generalität ist das Geschmeiß des deutschen Volkes! Sie ist ohne Ehre! Sie nennen sich Generale, weil Sie Jahre auf Militärakademien zugebracht haben, nur um zu lernen, wie man Messer und Gabel hält! Jahrelang hat das Militär meine Aktionen nur behindert. Es hat mir jeden nur ersichtlichen Widerstand in den Weg gelegt. Ich hätte gut daran getan, von Jahren alle höheren Offiziere liquidieren zu lassen, wie Stalin. Ich war nie auf einer Akademie. Und doch habe ich allein auf mich gestellt, ganz Europa erobert. Verräter! Von allem Anfang an bin ich so verraten und betrogen worden. Es wurde ein ungeheurer Verrat geübt am deutschen Volke. Aber alle diese Verräter werden bezahlen. Mit ihrem eigenen Blut werden sie bezahlen. Sie werden es saufen in ihrem eigenen Blut.
Bitte gerne. Jetzt beruhig dich doch.
Meine Befehle sind in den Wind gesprochen. Es ist unmöglich, unter diesen Umständen zu führen. Es ist aus. Der Krieg ist verloren. Aber wenn Sie, meine Herren, glauben, dass ich deswegen Berlin verlasse, irren Sie sich gewaltig. Eher jage ich mir eine Kugel durch den Kopf. Tun Sie, was Sie wollen.
From Yuri Bezmenov. Good account. Give him a follow. Right. What else have we got? Some like randos hassling Robert De Niro.
Bobby, I'm back. It's your favorite president. I don't give up. You didn't come out last time, so I hired an investigator and found your illegitimate son, Jamarcus. Jamarcus, come over here, Jamarcus. Say some words for your father. Talk to your daddy. Father, why don't you love me? It's not me. It's okay, Jamarcus. Do you hear that, Bobby? So look, Bobby, I'm officially placing $200 million in tariffs on your building until you come out and speak to me and your son, Jamarcus. His mother, LaQuisha, who you abandoned very strongly, got shot. It's so sad. And I'm officially adopting Jamarcus myself. Believe me, Believe me, Bobby, that I can tell you. That I can tell you. Come here, Jamarcus. Come here. Give your new daddy a hug. Give your new father a hug. I love you. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the feel of that ethnic hair is incredible.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you,
okay.
sir.
It's gonna be okay.
Oh, thank you.
It's gonna be okay. Believe me.
Oh, mate, that is some top tier trolling. It couldn't happen to a nicer guy than Bobby De Niro. Bit of Family Guy clip for you here.
Is there someone else who has a story they'd like to share? Peter?
Yeah, sure. This one time I was on a city bus, and the guy next to me was eating a bucket of fried chicken.
Ooh.
Yum. And the smell was getting to me, you know, and even though I didn't know the guy, I just dug in and started stuffing that chicken into my mouth.
Oh! Embarrassing. I've done that.
It was so delicious, but it wasn't fried chicken. It was a baby! It was a baby!
Is there someone else who has a story that...
Hey, man, we've all been there. You know, right? Don't feel bad, Peter. This is good.
Lads, can't you see the greatness in me? I'm female and male, man and woman.
I'm better than you are!
Yeah, but don't you understand something? You're only half of each. I'm a whole man. So if you'll excuse me, I don't have a lot of time here. I gotta save the world.
I don't know what movie that's from. Years, you're a connoisseur of cheesy B movies. Do you have any idea where that's from? I think I recognize like one of the guys in there. Right. Vapors Beach. Oh, is that John Stamos? Yeah, right. I thought I recognized that. Right.
If you used to smoke cigarettes and now you vape, you're a real piece of shit. You used to be cool, man. Now you're standing on some street corner filleting a tiny exhaust pipe like Fonzie's shit sibling. You know who I feel sorry for? Ashtray manufacturers. They're all sleeping in their cars now thanks to all these vapors. And it's not just the ashtray people. What about the matches people? Spare a thought for the companies that used to print nightclub logos onto those little books of matches so that grizzled old homicide detectives could fish one out of the pocket of a corpse and know where to start looking for the killer. It's bullshit. Thousands upon thousands of unsolved homicides just because these people want to vape.
It's true, bros. It's true. But I don't care. I don't care, right? Like, you know, what are thousands of unsolved homicides compared to my vaping pleasure, bros? This is pretty good.
To come and then he pulls out. You have to like when there's a guy coming right in your face and he just sits in there and delivers it. Get guys coming down his face.
Feeling is the Cowboys probably coming right down their throats.
He did 2 thrusts to get it in. Bynes has been coming all night long, but then he pulls out and it's just hard. It's been a while since he's seen a hole that big.
I think their D's been fine. I think their D has really probably performed above expectations.
To come.
What else do we got? Right, these are from Sades Sapiente. Thank you very much, Sades. Here's Garen Music.
Should you keep your ketchup in the cupboard or the fridge? Heinz has finally decided to weigh in on this important debate. Well, they can fucking weigh back out because they haven't got a clue what they're talking about. They say there has only ever been one correct answer. We're happy to share that Heinz tomato ketchup belongs in the fridge. Would you ever fuck off with your nonsense? Ketchup that has been kept in the fridge is not fit for purpose. First of all, it will not exit the bottle without a rigorous shake. This is ungentlemanly behaviour at the dinner table and I will not be engaging in it. If you leave it in the cupboard, slides out smooth like poetry. People will say, oh, you just leave it upside down, it's fine. I don't want to fucking leave it upside down. What's the word coming to where you have to leave things upside down for them to work? I can put it in the cupboard at any orientation of my choosing. That's freedom and that's the fucking Republic of Ireland I grew up in. Need a break, follow me, I'm delicious.
Excuse me. Right, what else have we got? This is just stupid.
So every day I just go out for a walk, and every day when I pass by this house, the neighbor is just always up in the window. Look at him. Look. I swear he's looking at me and I don't like it. Every day. No. What? No.
Present for you. Just for you. Present.
Yeah, thank you. Fucking present. What the fuck is this?
He likes it. He likes it. Neighbor. Neighbor.
No!
It's quite a good format. That actually, you know, like two dudes with like mobile phones, like with a misunderstanding. That's pretty good. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, I will never work at Xbox.
I think you'll be a great fit for this team.
Thank you, man.
But before we bring you on, we're just gonna play like 15 seconds of your Xbox Live chat. And good to go. What's so funny?
Wait, what do you?
Yeah, just make sure you're like not an insane person.
People say things when they're young, but not me.
Let's just get into it.
Totally play it.
Boom, headshot, you. I will your mouth. Welcome to Bootbacky Lane, bitch.
Do you want to explain yourself?
It's actually not even me.
My name's Curry Barker, and I live at 324 Lane, and I will commit arson on your family.
Sounds like it's you.
That's been probably more than 15 seconds at this point. We could turn that off.
I think we're just gonna continue.
Don't do it.
You camping in there? I know there's not a girl on this fucking chat.
Oh, you don't need a job. You need therapy, buddy.
I don't give a fuck if this haunts me for my future employment. Y'all are a bunch of pussies. I don't want to go to grandma's. I hope she dies soon.
Surprised you wore a button up. You should be wearing a straight jacket.
In my defense, I was hopped up on Mountain Dew.
This is worse than the PlayStation guy.
I wouldn't even say that to tech support, and I hate those motherfuckers.
I was just trying to find my voice.
Well, at least you haven't said that. Never mind.
Oh no, bros! Not the forbidden word. Right, we got some cute animal videos for you now. Enjoy. Weird Owls.
Oh, fuck!
What else we got? Oh, more of this like incredibly cute husky that likes to watch TV.
My dog, Penelope, loves TV so much. When she watches the scene in Lion King where Mufasa dies and Simba's looking for him, she's very captivated. As a puppy, she was, in all honesty, like kind of insane because she only really does stuff that she wants to do when she wants to do it.
What are you doing through there?
I would tell her not to be chewing on a cord. She would literally bark at me.
Penelope.
Then she just suddenly noticed the TV. We were watching like some vet show and there was like a dog on it. And I think she's like, I want to be there. She loves Pixar movies and like Planet Earth type things. You'll see like her eyes widen when something's happening that's exciting. Now I have someone to watch a movie with.
Aw, so cute. What else? This would probably be me if I was like doing tech maintenance.
Salite de ahí. Sálgase, pues. Sálgase. Sálgase. Sálgase de ahí, le estoy diciendo. Salite, ne. Salite. 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 Sálgase de ahí. Sálgase. Es que yo estaba arreglando eso, no es cama suya esa. Sálgase. Y está de brava. Salite. Salite, nieve. Salite, por favor. Qué hija de puta. Sálgase. Venga. Por favor. Por favor, sálgase. Burro.
he just got to tip the case up. Oh, so cute. Paladin, why is that? All my dogs just went nuts when they heard the squeaky toy. How about a doorbell marathon to calm them down? Sorry about that, Paladin. Maybe you could, put some like earmuffs on your dogs or something like that. It'd probably look really cute, you know. Right. Speaking of doggos, enjoy. They're having a little swim. Paladin, you have 9 dogs. Holy crap, man. What breeds are they? Damn, son. That's a lot of doggos. I never knew that cheetahs made these noises, bro. Check it out.
We gonna climb up the back of Mom?
What else we got? Gargalos. Apparently, bush baby. These are just so heckin' cute.
This little critter that wants to be friends with you is actually a galagos. It's a kind of lower primate, because they're tiny and have unique looks. Plus, they're gentle and lively. So many people keep them as pets. A galagos is about the same size as a squirrel. Its face is like a cat's, and its ears are like a bat's. Its eyes are big and round, and its eyes can't move in the eye sockets. So, when it wants to look at something, its head will turn. Super cute! Galagos has thick and soft fur. Its hind legs are long, its butt muscles are super developed, and it's really bouncy. It can easily jump a distance of 4 meters and be by your side in an instant. Galagos has a long and thin tongue. It's an omnivore. It likes to eat grasshoppers, and also eats fruits, seeds, and flowers and stuff. It also has another name, bush baby. Actually, that's because it often makes a cry like a baby's at night. That's why it's called bush baby.
Oh, that's so heckin' cute. Because who loves you? I want one. Yeah, I also want one. Dolphins blowing bubbles. What else do we got? Chinese cattails.
抬头看着星星在唱歌，他的呼吸好似对我说，他说你要慢慢长大，不只为自 抬头看着星星在唱歌，他都会喜好似对我说，他说你要慢慢长大，不只为自己。
And our final cute animal video of the night. I don't know what this is.
Do ba 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 do boo do a boo ba do ba do boo boo ba do.
Oh, what a little floof. Right, that's the end of the show. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Just say a quick goodbye to the chat. On Rumble, we have Paladin YYZ. Thanks again for that huge super chat, mate. I really, really appreciate it, bro. Captain Crisps, Sadie Sapiente, Rat Fun King, Captain Crisps, Wyatt's Torch, Crispy13, Cthulhu Loves You, Livia Drusilla, Total Blackout Painting, Yiz was here, but she's gone. I won't be on Discord and Dragons tonight, but you should definitely go and check it out on Yiz's channel. Edie Wolf, J Chiva Loophole, anybody else? Texas Man isn't here tonight, which is a shame. Because apparently I missed one of his super chats on my last show. So if you're watching this, Texas, I'll shout you out again next time you are online. DJ Based, I think that's everybody. On YouTube, we have Janice, Anti-Whiteism Ends With You, Linda Hunter, Charlie Reedy, Budgie Burger, Dawn Browning, Victoria Time Traveler, Linda Hunter, Streaky Bacon. Thanks for the Ko-Fi, Streaky. Much appreciated. Roger Cook, Otto Stormheart, LLLLLL. I think that's everybody. And on Odyssey, we have MK, Harder, N-Word, famous sister, of course, of Sadie N-Word, and Highland Full. Good to see you guys. Thanks for coming along. Hope you have an excellent week. I'll be back on Thursday for another Habbening TV, and afterwards Empire of Lies with Yiz the Eunuch. And check out my new show with Black Pigeon Speaks on Saturday night. You can find it on Rumble on his Felix Rex channel, The Redux Report. It's basically us going over global news and stuff. I mean, I've had some good reports on it, so check it out if you like it. Sadie's, maybe if you can drop the link in the chat. Otherwise, as I said, have a great week. I'll see you all on Thursday, chaps. Good night.